Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday. 1 full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action.
Pace car's turning off. Be ready.
Now here's your hosts, Woody Cain and Joey Meier.
Green flag, green flag.
Triple header weekend at Texas Motor Speedway is in the books. An old six-time upsets the apple cart in terms of the chase guys. He gets the victory at a track he's been dominant at over the past few years. However, the dominant man in the race did not win. Brad Keselowski leads 312 laps and does not get the victory. I'm Woody Cain, joined as always by two-spotter Joey Meier as we get ready to go here. Joey, looked like you guys had that race well in hand, and all of a sudden here comes the 48 late.
Yeah, broadcasting live from our satellite station in Seattle, Washington, with the amount of rain that we've had for a while.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm with you now.
Yeah, it's been raining here in Mooresville, Concord area for the last week and a half. We have no water shortage, but we had great weather. In Texas, ironically enough, a little bit of a water issue again. They couldn't get the track dry, put a unique spin specifically for the Sprint Cup guys. Did not have any practice on Saturday. Kind of threw a loophole into some things. We'll talk about that later on, about the tire issues that we saw, and get to hear Greg Stucker's
from
opinion,
Goodyear,
opinion on what the tire issue was. We did lead a lot of laps there, but if we were running the AAA 495, we won. Woo, the 495.
Unfortunately, that wasn't what it was called.
Oh, man. So
you need to finish.
Yep, so 334 laps we ran. We led up
312, yeah.
Yep, we led up until 330, and Jimmy got by us off of 2. Just the balance of the car got a little bit off. It wasn't like we fell out of the seat or the motor broke or something happened. It's just it's so critical. Timing is so – the balance is always right there, tight, loose, however you want it. And we come down for that last pit stop with essentially 15 laps to go, and just was a little off. We're a little off. Got into Truex on the restart. Between that and the adjustment we made on pit road and then the line Brad was driving, it all just came together, and we weren't as fast as we were for the previous 300 laps. And
By the way,
came home second.
I did see that Brad and Martin Truex Jr. talked after the race, and they're all good.
Oh, yeah.
Because at one point there was a little Twitter pimple there where people were going, oh, they're going to have fisticuffs, and why isn't he mad? And
well, because they have the 2015 version of the driver code book that they share.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
There's only one
okay.
book. See, there's only one book for those two drivers, so they share it. So they were on the same page.
They were.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was looking for that book. I went on Amazon this weekend, couldn't find it. Went to my local public library, and they said, no, we don't have any copies of the driver's code book.
It's kind of like the NASCAR rule book. Nobody can find one, but it's
well,
out
now
there.
that one's online.
Now
you
it
can't
is.
get that
now
one.
Now it is, but you can't find a hard copy of them. It's not there. So we're not even sure if that exists. But yeah, good conversation about driver code later on. Give you my opinion.
All right.
On driver
I'm
code.
Sure folks are going to be ready to. You were pretty active on Twitter this weekend.
You had a good weekend.
I kept thinking, why is Joey doing this to himself? I just kept thinking, Joey, you're never going to win this conversation.
At Flying Annie tells me to put the phone down, but I have so much fun.
You should listen to her more often.
I love good interaction. I don't, once you start name calling, then I just start ignoring you. It's perfect.
Right.
But I love good interaction. I have no problem with you having your opinion as long as it agrees with mine. We're all set.
That doesn't happen too much. Everybody has a different opinion. Listen, we got a big show coming up for you today. Tyler Reddick is going to be along. He is in the thick of a very, very tight race in the Camping World Truck Series. You got the top 3 guys separated by just 21 points with 2 races to go. Tyler Reddick will tell us about his event on the weekend at Texas Motor Speedway Friday night. He got a top 5 finish there. Unfortunately for him, the 2 guys he's chasing in the championship battle finished a couple of spots ahead of him, but we'll get his take on the last few races coming up. Our on-track, off-track segment, and boy, you won't believe what my co-host Joey Meier has to tell you in that situation. We'll hear from Greg Stucker from Goodyear talking about the tire issues at Texas Motor Speedway over the weekend. We'll also be taking your Twitter comments at MRN Radio. Use the hashtag AskMRN. He is at 2spotter, the number 2spotter. Mine is at WY Cain. Just use that hashtag AskMRN. And we'll play a lot of calls we got over the weekend from our fan forum hotline. That's 844-4AskMRN. We'll hear from some of you fans and what you thought over the weekend. But first, we need to go back in time a little bit. This whole week has been crazy busy, crazy with news because Matt Kenseth wound up getting suspended. Appeal denied. Another appeal, the final situation, a final appeal denied as well, and that set off a firestorm.
Oh, I object. Oh, no, I strenuously object, he said.
You
strenuously object. Well,
Okay.
then by all means.
Yeah.
We're going to take another look at this.
A few good men, by the way, a few good men.
Let us look at this. We don't like this. Oh, you object? Oh, we don't like it even more.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, Matt Kenseth got the wrath of the Daytona Beach office sat down for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They did not like his reasoning or his ability to keep his car under control at Martinsville and took Joey Logano out of the chase. And anybody that wants to argue with me, I like a good argument. The Danica wreck was different than the Matt Kenseth wreck because of the chase implications,
Right.
because of the lapped car being down, the number of laps, wrecking the leader. I don't want to hear that Dale Earnhardt used to wreck people.
Well,
He
Danica
did.
was down some laps too, but David Gilliland was not in the chase.
Exactly right. And she was down laps because he damaged her in the same race. Dale Earnhardt used to wreck a lot of people.
Are you referring to the driver code book here?
Dale Earnhardt used to wreck a lot of people.
Okay.
Going for the win.
All right. Okay.
All right, and that's where NASCAR drivers continually ask NASCAR, don't make us. NASCAR says, don't make us make the rules. You guys need to self-police because you're not going to like what we do. And again, we put the judgment in NASCAR's hands, and somebody
But
became
see, the other
upset
side
about
of
it.
that argument, and we'll get into this more a little bit later on, but the other side of that argument is you didn't let them self-police. That's the argument that you're hearing from the other side.
Oh, no, they did self-police. Absolutely. They did self-police. They got to act out how they wanted to self-police. And then NASCAR came in and went, you went too far.
Okay. That's
So,
exactly what happened.
yep.
All right. Let's hear from what some of the fans were letting us hear on our fan forum hotline after this whole Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth thing blew up.
They're all going to agree with us.
Yes, my name is Lou Hensley from Chapmanville, West Virginia, and I just wanted to voice my opinion, disapproval of NASCAR for suspending Matt Kenseth. And I've been watching NASCAR. I think I've watched all but one race since 1992. And if this suspension goes through, I'm not watching any more NASCAR races. That'll be the end of it. I've had enough of it.
Name is Jim. I'm from Michigan. I totally disagree with this decision that NASCAR's made. I am boycotting NASCAR. They can do without one fan.
Stephen Carter from Taylor, Michigan. I just believe that this kid is coming and these guys are scared. I believe that NASCAR should be nervous of Joey Logano because that's a two-man team who right now has two guys who are going to go. One of them will win this championship.
Larry Strange from Morris, Illinois. I think that the NASCAR got it way wrong. If Logano can do it and not take responsibility and gloat over doing it, then he had every bit of it coming. Yeah, I'm just surprised that somebody else hasn't already done it and put him over the wall.
Yeah, my name is Buddy Suggs. I'm from Arcadia, Florida. I'm going to do what I can do to boycott everybody I can get to boycott NASCAR and see if we can put them out of business because it's a bunch of bullcrap. I don't care for Matt Kenseth, but he did what he had to do. Joey Logano's a sissy crybaby, and he needs to have that done to him a few more times.
I believe that NASCAR has lost their consistency as if they ever had it. I don't understand why Danica gets to race, but Kenseth doesn't. I mean, honestly, I think they should both be suspended.
All right, so
He's
there
a
you go.
Sissy crybaby.
Yeah, well,
what was he crying about? I get it, man.
One of the best
I
things
love it.
about NASCAR is its fans are very passionate.
Yes.
They pay close attention, and they have strong opinions, and that is cool.
100% I agree. 100% I agree. This is a complete democracy on being able to give us your opinion, and I applaud it.
Absolutely. All right, we've got a big show coming up, as we mentioned. Tyler Reddick will be along on the other side of the break. But first, as we mentioned, kind of lost in the shuffle, Jimmy Johnson winning at Texas Motor Speedway again, third straight, fifth out of the last 7 trips to the Lone Star State. He's come away with the trophy. He talked in Victory Lane with our Kyle Rickey.
Yeah, for us, I think we came in, put 4 tires on it, didn't have a lot of fuel in it. I think that helped the performance of our car some, but at the same time, the two looked really tight that last run. He couldn't run the bottom of the racetrack, so and that's the first I saw him that vulnerable. So I think that maybe the same fuel situation, tire situation just didn't work for them, or adjustments they made slowed them up a bit because they were so dominant through the rest of the race.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Are you ready?
To help children forget about their serious medical conditions so they can just be a kid. Then support Victory Junction, which is the dream of late race driver Adam Petty, who wanted to build a camp where children concentrate on fun and laughter, not illness or disability. At Victory Junction, kids enjoy ziplining, horseback riding, swimming, fishing, all in a medically safe environment, all at no cost to the camper. What do you say, Richard Petty?
Let's do this.
Learn more at victoryjunction.org.
Hi, I'm Regan Smith. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday. Is that Joey Meier or Brad Spotter? Really? Yeah. Oh, I'm going to have to give him a hard time. How'd he get his own radio show? Wow.
He has won here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, looking for a win in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Into the final lap in turn 1 for the final time.
He has been the class of the field all night long. Eric Jones on the bottom of the racetrack. Not going to push the issue with the lap truck of John Hunter Nemechek for the final time.
Whatever he has asked of that race truck tonight, it has responded. Down to the bottom for the most time. He has been on that bottom white line all night long. That's how he's going to win it. Puts it to the bottom of the racetrack and off of turn 4.
Checkered flag in the air. Here comes 19-year-old Eric Jones. The WinStar World Casino and Resort 350 belongs to this youngster that drives for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Eric Jones wins tonight in Texas.
There you heard it. That's what it sounded like on the Motor Racing Network Friday night at Texas Motor Speedway, the WinStar World Casino 350. Eric Jones wins, starting off a triple-duty weekend for him. All three guys in the top of the Camping World Truck Series standings, separated by just 21 points. They all finished in the top 5 at Texas, and one of those guys joins us on the guest line now, Tyler Reddick, 5th place finish at Texas. Welcome back to the program, Tyler. Congratulations on another strong race, and you guys are going to make everybody sweat this thing out all the way to Homestead, aren't you?
Well, we're really trying to, that's for sure. Obviously, a 5th place finish was not ahead of Crafton or Jones, but I thought we had a really good race. It wasn't a great race for us, but it's a shame that 5th place didn't gain us any points. But it was a good run for our team, and I'm really proud of the strong efforts Brett Kosowski Racing has been putting out.
You know, looks like you've come off of 3 weeks of racing with 3 top 5s at completely different tracks, Talladega, Martins, and Fort Worth. It has to show you, and by looking back, and I know we're battling for a top 3 here with these guys, it has to show you the flexibility and the strength of this team.
Yeah, for sure. You know, the team has done a very good job of adapting to the tracks where I feel like we've struggled at in the past. You know, Doug and everyone else on the 19 truck has done an outstanding job of getting me, the driver, who has been terrible at Martinsville, me adjusted and getting me to be able to run the top 5, which is just incredible for me. I never would have thought that I would have such a strong run there, only my 4th time there. Really impressed with how the guys got me up to speed and everything else. It's a big credit to my team.
Tyler, tell us a little about what we started seeing in your race on Friday, and it was kind of a theme that continued through the weekend. A lot of guys having trouble with rear tires, specifically left rears wearing in that race. What was going on there?
Yeah, you know, fortunately for us in the truck series, I don't think any of us really struggled with the left rear tire issue. We just lacked overall rear grip, and I was kind of the talk of the truck garage, I feel like. Everyone I talked to was just lacking a lot of rear grip compared to the spring, which is unfortunate because we had to kind of attack the race in a completely different package than we had in the past. So it kind of threw everyone for a curveball for sure.
Tyler, when you show up at Fort Worth, you have to be kind of foaming at the mouth at a racetrack that offers bottom-to-top flexibility that both corners offer. Do you utilize that, or are you a bottom feeder? Are you against the wall? How do you attack Texas?
Well, I got to say that it seems like every time from the first time I've been to Texas that the bottom has become stronger. The track continues to wear with each time that we go there. It's more obvious how much the tire fall-off is. But I just think the top is just getting a little too rough to compete with the bottom in the trucks right now. You know, as soon as I feel like through Cup and Xfinity practice really laid down a lot of rubber up top. Kind of got rubber all over the racetrack. We never had any rain. It just seemed like the top wasn't its normal Texas for me.
The bottom was really the place to be, and I really struggled where in the past I was able to make a lot of time up high. I was able to make good time through the middle, though, but it was strange, and it was albeit a little disappointing that I wasn't able to get our truck running any better up high.
Chatting with Tyler Reddick, who took the Broken Bow Records Ford to a fifth-place finish at Texas Motor Speedway on Friday. Tyler, you qualified 17th in this race. Didn't really get the help of a lot of cautions. I know some guys were hoping to be able to make some more adjustments. You had one set of tires on the truck, 4 in the pits. What did you guys work on in an effort to get yourself up front where you finished?
Well, I think our qualifying speed is something we're going to have to work on once again now that we've essentially went back to single truck qualifying in the truck series on the 1.5 mile and bigger racetracks. Before we would just focus on pretty much race speed with the drafting qualifying we had for a while there. And it kind of gave us a crutch to be able to qualify up towards the front. But now that it's gone back to the way it had been in the past, we're going to have to work on some better qualifying speed for sure. In single truck, we definitely are lacking a little bit there. Crafton was, I think it was 9/10 faster than I was in qualifying all by ourselves. So we got to work on that a little bit. But our race speed is definitely there. It's just the way this race went this past weekend. Not a lot of opportunities to gain track position under caution. And, we only got re-racked and stacked back up once during the whole race. So just the way it fell, qualifying was more important than normal for sure.
Tyler, as we look upon 2015, it's your first full year in the truck series, third year overall. We just announced our 2016 plans to have you in a truck full-time again next year. One of the things I noticed this year is completed every lap but 3. So now you look forward to 2016. What's the next step to improve?
Well, obviously, we've had some really strong runs this year, but when things have went wrong, we've done a pretty good job of recovering from them, with the exception of a couple races. And I think the biggest thing is to just focus on understanding, and it seems like when I've been running in the back half of the top 10, you got to realize at the end of the day, you just got to take what you got and try not to push much harder than what the truck's going to give you at situations such as the road course in New Hampshire. Both of those races, I think we could have got out of there with a top 10 finish. But I was greedy and wanted to get more out of it for myself and our team, knowing that every spot counts and that I want to run the best I can for my team. And it's just a shame we ended up taking what could have been a top 10 finish and finishing outside of that. And obviously we ran out of gas Kansas early in the year, but that was just luck. We were going for the win. So just got to work on a few things. We're not that far off. And obviously it'd be nice to have a little bit better qualifying speed, but it's really good to be able to run my first year as competitive as we are and run up as high we are in the points championship.
I was talking with your crew chief, Doug Randolph, and your teammates' crew chief as well, Chad Kendrick, along the way, and both of those guys said that you have been getting, as an organization, some new trucks coming online here in the latter half of the season. How much of a difference has that made on things?
Yeah, we've been Brad Means and everyone in the body shop has really been pushing hard to find that next step in the body in our aerodynamic package. And we came to track in Texas with a brand new truck, and we didn't get all we were expecting. The truck ran darn in the race, but our qualifying speed was up. So we're going to go back to a truck that's new from this year, but we've ran in the past already this year that we know that it's got speed. But we're going to continue to work on our packages there and to continue to learn. Obviously, we got a few things to take away from Texas here, so we'll continue to grind and work on that and get better.
Wrapping things up with Tyler Reddick, who's in a very tight 3-driver battle with Eric Jones, Matt Crafton, and himself. 21 points from 2 races, Phoenix and Homestead. Where do you make your jump?
Well, obviously we got to start with Phoenix. I think it's the track we've been very fast at in the past. We just didn't have luck last year. The lights went out on us right after we took our green flag pit stop, and we never were able to recover, obviously. Homestead, though, I feel like we're really strong there. We're really fast there, and it's a track I love to death. So both of these tracks were really fast. We were really fast at in qualifying. We had a chance to have the poles at both of these tracks. I just made mistakes at both attempts at each track. So we're really fast at both these tracks. I have a lot of confidence going in. I know my team does too.
That's Tyler Reddick. He drove the Broken Bow Records Ford to a 5th-place finish at Texas Motor Speedway. He is one of 3 guys in contention for the championship. They're separated by just 21 points with 2 races to go. The next will be at Phoenix, and you can hear that one right here on the Motor Racing Network. Tyler, congratulations on a strong season, another strong run, and we'll see you out west.
10-4. Thanks for having me on again, guys.
All right, Tyler, thanks.
There you go. They have been just as steady as can be all season long.
You know, it's a fantastic night to come away from Texas with a top 5 finish. It's not a fantastic night when the guys you're racing the points finish right in front of you and win the race. And you're like, man, the competition level. You know, as a rookie in this industry, last year Tyler didn't run the full season. You expect some mistakes and growing pains. Most of the time, the rookies don't do really well first year in the truck.
Yep.
Unless your name is Eric Jones.
Yeah, he's been doing very well.
And he's done really well, limited the number of mistakes, capitalized on wins, and capitalized on other drivers' mistakes. And they've now narrowed it down to 3 drivers, a very tight battle. Any race, we have 2 left. All it takes is for one guy to have any mechanical issue, just like we saw with Jimmy Johnson at Dover. Something as simple as an axle seal. Boom, you're done. You had this big cushion. Now you're at a deficit. So you still have to show up to Phoenix and Homestead racing. Again, top 5 sounds really good, but you're going to need a little bit of help for those other 2 drivers to have something bad happen.
And he's, speaking of rookies, going to get a new teammate next year. Daniel Hemrick's a rookie this year, 7th in the standings. He's going to go over to BKR next year and drive the truck full season, run for the championship. But he's going to be in the 19, and Tyler's going to switch over to the 29 with Cooper Standard. They're very much interchangeable, but interesting that he's going to have another young teammate ready to run a full season with him next year.
An ability to bounce him off of another experienced driver. So Tyler will have a full year of full-time, plus a partial year from the year before. So now we have a year and a half, a year and 3/4. Daniel Hemrick was full-time this year, both sitting in the top 10. That's really good young knowledge going forward. Again, all these drivers don't drive the exact same package, and the only way to expand your own horizons is to look at somebody else's, and that's what we're providing for Tyler.
Absolutely. Now, as we mentioned, kind of lost in the shuffle of this conversation, Eric Jones, the rookie, wins the race at Texas Motor Speedway Friday night in the Camping World Truck Series. That's where he's running for championship points. He's the leader by 17 over Matt Crafton right now. He wound up doing triple duty, running also the Xfinity Series that was planned, and then being pressed into service to drive the number 20 car in the Sprint Cup Series after the Matt Kenseth suspension. So a very, very busy weekend for young Eric Jones, and he started it off in fine fashion.
Let me ask you something, buddy. Could this day have ended any better for you? Could it have been any better?
No, I don't think so. I think this was just a pretty solid day overall, not only in the Truck Series here, but in all 3 series. So awesome to kind of cap this day off with a win here. And this was our goal this weekend, was to get a win in the Truck Series, and we were able to do it. So just nice to get this momentum back going for us, and you know, especially going into Phoenix next week, and a place that we've had so much success at as a group together. So we'll see how it goes there, but definitely happy to be victory lane here first.
I noticed when you took the green flag tonight, you wasted no time in going right to the front, like you were really, really comfortable with everything that was going on. Did all those laps on the racetrack today help you?
Absolutely. You know, these guys haven't been on the track in this series all day, so for me, I've already made 150 laps probably before I started the truck race, and in faster vehicles as well, so that's always an advantage. But it all kind of clicked, and I was just so comfortable right away, and the truck was so good from the start. Just made it easy on me, honestly.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Looking for a great spot for an affordable beach vacation or the perfect romantic retreat? Let the Plaza Resort and Spa help. A vacation on the world's most famous beach is sure to help you reconnect with the ones you love. Discover the grand tradition of hospitality and service on Daytona Beach. The Plaza Resort and Spa is the perfect choice for any type of getaway. Book online at plazaresortandspa.com or call 1-855-DB-PLAZA. That's 1-855-327-5292.
Hey, I'm Eric Amarola. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Right, left rear certainly is the most common occurrence, and you know we're seeing signs of over deflection type air losses, which we've seen before, and I think one of the other factors you got to consider is the impact the weather's had. Obviously, weather washed out all the practice on Saturday. That's normally something that teams are able to sort through and try to find the edge. And I think maybe that's just kind of where we are right now. They're still trying to sort through that and figure out where they can be, with left rear deflections, where they can be in air pressures, where they can be in their setup. So that's just the one thing we're starting to see more and more. And even with tires that perhaps haven't lost air at this point, we're seeing a lot of indication of that on pit road. Very consistent up and down pit road. And there are certain things we can look for, in the tires that come off, and we're certainly seeing signs of that. Before was a cut, right? That was a little bit different than the others. It happened to be the same position, but it was clearly a cut.
There you go, Greg Stucker, the director of racing for Goodyear, talking about the tire issues that we saw, especially on Sunday, but it kind of crept up progressively through the weekend.
So this is the portion of our show that's relatively new. In fact, we just started it as I speak. It's the Learn How the Rear Suspension of a Car Works program portion of our program.
And go.
So what happens is our teams are given tolerances in everything they build, everything. And what we've done on the race car is we are allowed to move the rear end of this car. On your street car, the rear tires follow the exact same track as your front tires.
Mm-hmm.
Well, whenever we move the rear end of a car up or down through the connection of the panhard or track bar, the rear end moves up and down. It also moves left and right. Because of the way the rear end is attached to the car, whenever it moves left and right, it moves in a pendulum-style motion. It doesn't go exactly left. It doesn't go exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So now every time we move the rear end a little to the left, the right side tire moves back a little bit. So we have three different movements. We have an up and down movement, we have a left and right movement, and we have a forward and aft movement. We have three different axes that this rear end pivots on. Teams can move this completely legal, completely 100% legal within the box that NASCAR has given them. We will move our rear end as far to the left as possible. Well, by doing that, it increases the skew of the car or the angle of the car going through the air.
It's almost like everything you do, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Ah.
So the left rear tire is now closer to the fender than the right side tire.
Okay.
That's what he means by deflection. When we roll over on that tire and it moves, it's closer to the fender than the right side tire. That's why the right side tire doesn't have a problem, because the left side tire is so close to the fender that it's rubbing, because the teams didn't have a practice enough time to get that movement dialed in and close enough with tire pressures to keep it from rubbing. Once the race went on, that problem alleviated itself more and more as air pressure was adjusted, some track bar adjustments, and we just kept that rear end from moving over and hitting the quarter panel and the fender and rubbing that tire. That's why we saw such catastrophic tire failures, because the sidewall was being rubbed out of the tire, not the actual tread.
And
now
we had the
with
dual
four-car-
zone tires there too that are that have a harder zone and a softer zone.
Right.
A harder zone for wear, a softer zone for grip.
Right, but it has nothing to do with the sidewall.
Right.
The sidewall is not dual zoned. It was just rubbing a hole in the sidewall because that rear end through travel was being moved too far to the left, causing deflection in the sidewall against the quarter panel, and it was just rubbing a hole in it. Simple. The tire had
And
no
then the air is
issues.
just naturally going to come right out.
Actually, well, we actually just have an a dissipation of air equilibrium, because now
Wait, what? A what?
The outside air pressure equals the inside air pressure.
There you go.
There's still air in the tire, just not enough.
This portion of Mr. Science brought to you by
Bill
Joey
Nye.
Meier.
Yep,
right.
yep.
Speaking of that, if you check out our website, mrn.com, mrn.com/101. We've got videos with former championship-winning crew chief Tim Brewer explaining a lot of these things that Joey was talking about. The track bar, changing the tires, rear end features, those types of things. That's mrn.com/101, and you can find out more about those videos, the technical part of the car, and how things work and interact with each other. It's a good site to check out if you want to get up on your definitions. But we did see a bunch of stuff. Now, interestingly enough, this is the same tire that we're going to be taking to Homestead, Miami. Greg Stucker also had some comments about what we can expect there.
No. I think it's we've consistently run this combination here and at Homestead and also at Chicago. And truly, I think a lot of it is just the weather and the lack of practice. Guys are always pushing the envelope and trying to take advantage of everything. And again, that's a lot of the things that you see in practice. You do it early on, and then you start dialing back. And they just didn't have the ability to do that. So we think that's the common denominator, but we should feel good about Homestead.
There you go. Greg Stucker, the director of racing at Goodyear, talking about even though we're going to run the same tire at Homestead, as you say, they don't believe that it's an issue that will have anything going forward that we might see when we get to Homestead, Miami for the season finale.
Even though there was a tire issue, and for those of you that can't see me, I'm using the air quotes.
Oh, yeah.
If you're on air quote, tire issue.
You should be watching on YouTube.
It had nothing to do with Goodyear.
Yeah.
It was simply a mechanical issue the teams were working through and didn't have enough time to work through it on Saturday because we didn't get on the track Saturday. Interesting note, there were four distinct teams that did not have track time on Friday that were only in qualifying trim. The 48, 88, 78. Of those four, two of them dominated the race. One won race, and the other guy led the most laps. So a very, very cool shout-out to all the guys that run computer simulations and all the engineers that set these cars up back in their hotel rooms, back on computers, and show up on Sunday and are able to perform at the high levels they did. The 48 and the 2 were obviously very fast cars throughout the afternoon, had no tire problems, ran on the same tire that we're going to run in Homestead, so that's good to see.
You know, Jeff Gordon has been racing at the top level here for 23 years, I believe it is now. He was asked over the weekend what thing has changed the most since he came in, and one of the things he mentioned was what you just pointed out, the sims, the computer programs that they use to set these cars up and test things when they're not necessarily able to get to the track. He said that technology has just grown by leaps and bounds since he's been in the sport.
Yeah, just like when we started 20 years ago or 23 years ago, Jeff, there were no cell phones. The big thing was a car phone that worked off radio antennas, and it wasn't even a phone, didn't have cellular signal. Now we have almost a mini computer in our pocket, a smartphone. So the technology driven for racing has really escalated, and it's going to continue because NASCAR doesn't allow us to test. Don't get me wrong. Given the choice, we'd rather have on-track data.
Right.
It's 100% accurate. There's always some variables and possible errors based on computer simulation, but at this point in time, it's extremely accurate.
Absolutely, it is. We want to mention as well, you can play along with us on Twitter at MRN Radio. Mine is at WY Cain. Joey's is at 2 spotter. Use the hashtag AskMRN so we can find your question. We've got one here from Zach, Mr. Y Noel Bandit, who wants to know, Joey, switching up the races in the chase seems like something drivers and others would like. Do you think we might see that in coming up in 2017? The 16 schedule is already out.
You know, one of the things we just did is we announced a 5-year agreement with all the racetracks. That's unprecedented. We've never announced more than 1 year in advance.
But that'll be the same tracks, but the order. What about the order?
And one of the things we deal with all year long is weather in certain locations. We have attempted to move the Atlanta race, for instance. We've attempted to move Bristol races. There's only so much movement we can go around. And when we start trying to get ahead of ourselves, that's one of the logistics we look at. Where is the weather good? Like, we can't race Kansas all year round.
Yeah.
We can race Phoenix all year round.
Pretty much.
So there's different variables that we're kind of stuck in a box. And then the other thing is what town do we want our chase races in for that weather? So it's not a matter of, well, I just want to race Bristol in the chase. Well, there's reasons why. There's football games. There's other events at that racetrack. We would love to have the variableness.
Wait, variableness? That's
I
pretty
can make
awesome.
up. When you
no,
have
that's
your own,
fantastic. I like it.
When you get your own radio show like I do,
there
you can make
go.
up. You can have your own.
Wow.
You can have your own vernacular.
Ah,
See?
vernacular. You're Arthur vernacular. You got a thesaurus, didn't you?
No.
Okay.
I got Google.
All right. We're also going to be replaying some of your calls from our fan forum hotline over the weekend. Let's check out. Go ahead.
Who won the next Xfinity race this weekend? How cool is that?
Who won the Xfinity race? That would be Brad Keselowski. And speaking of that, number 14 is a theme that we've talked about before, one of our callers. Let's check that out.
My opinion of these races is these regular NASCAR drivers falling back to the Xfinity races. I think that ought to be stopped. Give them young kids a chance to win some of these races instead of having all the NASCAR drivers win the Xfinity races ahead of them. Thank you.
All right,
there you go. Now, we've had this conversation with many a Xfinity driver, and they say, nope, bring them on. We like to race against them. The track promoters say it gives us some more star power to help sell tickets. However, listen to this. The winner, Brad Keselowski, Cup regular. Second place, Kevin Harvick, Cup regular. Third place, Austin Dillon, Cup regular. Fourth place, Eric Jones, not a Cup regular, but not a regular in the Xfinity Series either. The first Cup regular was Ty Dillon in the 5th spot.
Okay, and what I'm going to point out to you is Brad Keselowski's car, driven by a young Ryan Blaney, given the opportunity because Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski are able to drive that car for Discount Tire. Kevin Harvick, given the opportunity to Josh Berry, to Ben Rose, to be able to drive that 88 in other cars because the sponsor for Kevin Harvick wants Kevin in. If you put Kevin in, I'll go somewhere else. Austin Dillon, part-time team, and I wish I could keep naming the drivers who are in the – there are other younger drivers that have driven these exact same cars with these exact same teams simply because the big-name driver is allowing the sponsor to get into the sport for an investment purposes, for dual purposes. I will give you X number of dollars to get the big-name star and allow you to run the younger kid.
The young guy, yeah.
If a young Kyle Busch or a young Brad Keselowski doesn't get noticed on a limited basis, they don't get noticed. They don't have the opportunity. The big name gets the big money, and then we're able to trickle it down to allow the younger kids the opportunity. Tyler Reddick doesn't get an opportunity to drive for Brad Keselowski's truck team if Brad Keselowski doesn't get in that truck to bring the money in.
Right, and he's talked about trying to run a third truck next year with a rotation of different drivers.
Trying to get Austin Theriault back in the truck, but we need the money to promote Brad Keselowski to bring the money in for
a sponsor
Austin
will
Theriault.
say, okay, I'll write the check if you'll drive it 5 times, 6 times, whatever the number is
100%.
along the way. Kyle Busch has mentioned the same thing. Dale Jr. has mentioned the same thing with their Xfinity teams, their truck teams along the way, talking about trying to get help for some of these younger drivers. It's difficult to get a company to write a check for an unknown, so to speak, driver. They want the big name.
That's exactly right. These lower-tiered teams and lower-tiered series are still development drivers. We don't have, for the most part, all of our Sunday crew guys going over the wall to help these cars. We have some of our guys, but not the entire team. If we're looking for jackmen, we put them in that spot for the truck team and the Xfinity teams to develop their experience and get them. So when we need a guy over on the Cup side, boom, we pluck him out, put a new kid in. And that's what these development series are, and they are developing series. If Brad and Kyle and Kevin, they ran 34 races, I would understand the argument because it really does serve no purpose at an extreme level. But a guy like Ty Dillon or Austin Dillon, they're still very limited in experience, and they're getting the experience in the series while being able to attract a sponsor to keep providing the team work.
All right, we haven't mentioned the Xfinity Series a whole lot other than right there. Chris Buescher still leads the standings by 24 points over Chase Elliott. The defending series champ Ty Dillon is up to third. He's 30 points back. Regan Smith, fourth, 31 points back. Then it's a bigger drop back to Elliott Sadler in fifth. So really it comes down to those 4 guys having a shot with 2 races left to go. Chris Buescher right now in the mode. He told us earlier he didn't want to start talking about points until it got to the last couple of races. We're here now.
Well, first of all, congratulations to our Team Penske guys in claiming the 3rd in a row Owners Championship with 4 different drivers, which is really a cool accomplishment. We didn't just have 1 or 2, and we had crew chief Greg Irwin on board for the first year. 4 different drivers, Owners Championship. Chris Buescher is doing exactly what a championship driver, what we don't like to hear, he's having good points days.
That's what it takes right now.
That's exactly what it takes in this kind of layout with the point system we have right now. The big word on the street was we might be seeing a new format for the truck and Xfinity next year. Hearing word on the street might be a 7-race chase style format.
I heard a little bit of that in the garage.
2 different rounds with 3 races each round, and then a final format. Can you imagine showing up to Homestead in a 1-race winner-take-all 3 series Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? You can't.
That might be crazy.
You may not like old school. I get it. You can go to your short track and see season-long points racing, but if you give me 4 teams for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, winner take all for a championship, that's pretty darn cool.
All right, well, hold that thought because we're going to come back to that a little bit later on. But as we go to break here now, Brad Keselowski, as we mentioned, won the race on Saturday in the Xfinity Series at Texas, wrapping up the Owners Championship for Roger Penske, and he spoke with our Kyle Rickey afterwards.
It was a good day. We were a top 3 car the whole race. Different challengers came up and made it interesting, which is what you want is good competition today with Kyle Larson looked really good. Kevin Harvick looked really good. Kyle Busch, of course, always fast. And Austin Dillon at the end, I didn't think I was going to get by him, but great competition and a lot of guys have a lot to be proud of.
And a big day for the team. Obviously, you're not running for points, but the 22 car locked up the Owners Championship. Got to be special for this Team Penske team.
Yeah, huge day for Team Penske to be able to lock up the 5th NASCAR championship and 4th Xfinity championship of Roger Penske's career. So happy to be a part of that, and hopefully many more to come.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
There's a more economical way to travel, and that's with a Tom Johnson Camping World RV. Whether you're heading for excitement at the track or serenity in the mountains, get there for less and you can go more often. Find the RV that fits your lifestyle and your budget from anywhere in the country at TomJohnsonCamping.com. with available nationwide delivery and one of the largest inventories in the country. Check out our locations in the Blue Ridge Mountains, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, or online at TomJohnsonCamping.com.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
Hey, I'm Mike Bagley. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
On track, off track segment coming your way now. The part in which Joey and I talk about some things that are going right and some things that aren't going quite so well in the world of NASCAR. For you, what's on track from this past weekend?
Since NASCAR's made the small revision of expanding or doubling the size of our restart zones, and since they've established a nice solid line going, if you break this rule, we're going to black flag you, as we demonstrated in Loudon, even though we were the participant of the first black flag for restarts.
And remember, the guys asked for NASCAR to do
Absolutely.
something.
We're tired because we can't self-police this. Give us some rules.
Mm-hmm.
Since they've done that, we've had great restarts. No Jimmy jacking around, to quote David Hoots, for those of you guys that listen to NASCAR radio. It's something we listen to in our spotter radio. No Jimmy jacking up front there, guys. So we have good restarts. We have good racing all the way down. Drivers aren't complaining about restarts as much. I get everybody's going to complain. But we've had really good, clean, efficient restarts. The leader of the race has the advantage again on restarts, and that's what they were looking for. So we have nobody manipulating or trying to outrun the leader by laying back, because that zone is so big, it's too big to lay back. Kudos to NASCAR on expanding that, which was one of the things several drivers were asking for.
Pretty cool to see some of the paint on the walls at some tracks, too, showing everybody where the restart zone is,
you know,
instead of just the graphics on TV.
Exactly right. I'm hoping all of the people listening are listening to the races on MRN. But if you choose to watch the video portion on your tube with rabbit ears, that's fine, too.
Wait, you got rabbit ears?
But on TV, they have the lines manipulated across the restart zones. Well, now some of your SMI tracks are actually painting those lines across the racetrack, so the people on the stands can visually see much more clear those restart
where
areas and the zones are. And they've done a really good job. Just a great deal this year.
Absolutely. That's a good idea for sure for them. For on track, for me, I have life outside the chase. We saw evidence of it yesterday where Jimmy Johnson, who has been knocked out of chase contention, comes back to win at a track he's been dominant at. We've seen a lot of guys get up and battle. It's supposed to be all about the chase guys at this point, but there are many other guys racing for 5th in the standings, racing to try and get one more win for their sponsor before the year is up, racing to try and get themselves some momentum to head into 2015. I think it's been a good thing that we've seen, although so far in this particular chase, the only guy that we've seen from outside who has won is Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, he's been the only non-chase winner in the entire chase format. Which shows you the strength of their team, because, again, you have a good day like Brad did yesterday, and everybody around him is in the chase. Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Jeff Gordon. Those guys are all in the chase, and they're in the top 10 in the finishing order.
Yeah.
So it's an extremely tough field to finish in, let alone win a race, and Jimmy Johnson did that. Those guys belonged further along in the chase. I didn't want to have to race them continually to try to go to Homestead. They had a part failure, which completely negated their 26 race season before that, and that was unfortunate. But their performance has always been right there continually. I still think he'll get 8 championships.
He may very well. And unlike other sports, the guys who have been knocked out of contention still are active in each of the events going forward. That's something you don't see in the other sports. Usually when you get knocked out, you're done, you go home, you watch the other guys on TV. That doesn't happen in NASCAR, and it's pretty cool. What about you for off track for this week?
At the end of a race, when everything's good and the driver's in victory lane, we never hear him reference, well, I ran over my driver code this week and we really improved on it. We never hear it. The driver code is something that is simply overstated about the importance of it. It's the common sense mentality of any driver, and it only is referenced when I did something wrong and I'm trying to justify it, or I feel you did something wrong and I'm trying to justify it. It's a fictitious thing that has to, let's stop talking about it. If I want to wreck you, that's my prerogative. It's not a code. It's how I want to race. We see different drivers. We saw Brad and Jimmy, who some people say might not like each other. I disagree. We've had them on our plane, and they talk amongst each other. They raced each other a certain way. Why? Because they each race each other. That's the way their mentality is. In order to become an airline pilot, it says I have to have good moral character. There's nowhere.
What?
Yep, good moral character to be an airline transport pilot, to fly for the airlines. There's no definition of what good moral character is because you can't define it. Simply put, this driver code cannot be defined. So let's quit referencing it and only referencing it when somebody's done something bad or I'm trying to justify my actions, which could be looked upon as bad. It's just becoming over the top. We keep referencing the super secret, double secret handshake driver code junk, and it's gotten too much. It's just excessive.
Two things jump out at me about this. One is you hear a lot of old school fans, old school drivers, old school team guys who say everything was fine in the sport when we used to let guys police it themselves. That is what we saw from Matt Kenseth, at least in his mind, that he was doing. I think you're not having this discussion if there's no chase. That has created some of this. The other side of that situation is when you've got guys who think we're going to police it the way we have done, again, it's what you think is right at the time. If your guy is the one who's in the wall, you're going to be mad. If your guy is the one who put that guy in the wall, you're going to be happy with it. So I think, as you say, it is up to you to define what it means because, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, that book is not in the library. That book is not online anywhere. You can't buy it off Amazon. It's whatever that individual thinks it means to him at that particular moment under those particular circumstances.
It's a selfish sport. The driver code only means that I was taking from you, or I feel like you took from me. And it's whatever it is to my advantage to have the driver code say what it says.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. The important thing is we have a scenario at Martinsville involving Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano. If we start inserting different drivers and different cars in the exact same scenario, it's completely different. If we involve Dale Jr., the most popular driver for the last 10, 12 years, in either one of those cars, the situation is different.
It is, because it's a different guy and a different fan base, and they have different opinions.
Joey is in Matt's car and Matt's in Joey's car. It's completely different. We see that time and time again. And that's where you can't force the issue. I don't care what driver you are or how popular you are. If you're forcing NASCAR to make a decision by keep pushing and pushing and pushing where this line is, they eventually make a limit and make a sign. And unfortunately, it cost Matt Kenseth a 2-race suspension. Why 2 races? I have that's to me was the most confusing thing in the world.
I heard a lot of people say they felt like there would be a penalty, but they were surprised that it was 2 races.
Their mentality was they had the similar situation. We try to go back on precedents. You know, you don't have precedents till the first time it happens.
Yeah.
This is one of the first times in the history of the sport that a car a lap down has taken out the leader for championship mentality. Okay. We saw this at Phoenix years ago, back in 2012. Jeff Gordon wrecked Clint Boyer, who was second or third in points, and there was a monetary and a point fine.
Yeah.
NASCAR's mentality said that didn't deter this from happening, so we have to ramp up. And they went from not having any suspensions to 2-race suspension, which I found intriguing only because there's still 1 race left. Joey still could be in the championship, although the ratio – the odds have gone way, way up.
Yeah.
And Matt could still mess
against him up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Matt still could mess with Joey at Homestead. But that's where the racing gets interesting. This is where we've given Matt, we've slapped his hands at a level, and now NASCAR says this is the precedent. We have a new precedent. This is it right here. We have one.
Right, and this has not happened before. That's the thing that I think everybody's overlooking. You can talk about the way we used to do it, but we have a new format, a chase, which we never had before, and a new format with a chase that we've had for a few years now that make kind of these comparisons apples and oranges. Let's get to number 16 right quickly, Darryl. This one kind of goes along with what Joey was saying from a fan perspective.
What I was wondering is NASCAR has changed so much of its business acumen or culture that they've alienated a lot of their base fans. Are they trying to retrace some of those steps and go back to maybe a little bit NASCAR roots again, or are we going to continue in the same direction that we've been going?
That's Tim from Tennessee on our fan forum line. That's 844-4ASK-MRN if you have a question or comment. Go ahead.
The technology in the last 2 or 3 years with smartphones, cell phones, computers has just ramped up. It hasn't included all the old school people that use landlines on their phones.
Right.
It simply has outpaced itself with current the legion of people that are using cell phones.
Yep.
It's different. It's changing. That's what NASCAR is doing. It's evolving. It's changing. There are new people coming in the sport. Unfortunately, we've heard a lot of people saying, I'm done watching because I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
For that, I'm very sorry, because the racing, from a standpoint of being interested and on the edge of your seat, it's exciting every week.
Yeah.
Now, am I the driver that's taking advantage of it and being able to win every week in the championship without winning races and points racing like we saw in the past?
Yeah.
We used to hear all the time, if we can go back
Good
and
points
listen.
day.
You're great. We don't hear that anymore.
Mhm. That's a good thing.
We used to complain about that back when there was no chase and the season was wrapped up with 5 or 6 races to go. All he's got to do is finish 18th the rest of the year. Matt Kenseth's going to win this championship, or whoever.
Anticlimactic.
We got tired of hearing it.
Right.
Now we're like, well, he had a great year, but he don't get to win it for it. Joey Logano's had most wins. Matt Kenseth had the most wins. The 2 drivers that have the most wins are probably not going to be chasing a championship on Homestead.
They may not.
You can't please everybody, and we're trying to evolve to make it more exciting. It is an entertainment sport. It's not Russian roulette. It's not gambling. We aren't wrestling because it's not staged. Trust me, those guys back in the shop, we always reference them. There's 200-plus people. They're not staging a race for Phoenix. They all want to win. This is still racing. It's just not a 38 race, the best car for the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our race yesterday was a snapshot. We led 314 laps. We didn't win the race.
Happens.
Joey
but
Logano.
rare.
Joey Logano had the most wins this year. He might not win a championship.
He may not.
So it happens. That's what racing is about.
Absolutely. All right. My off track, yesterday I thought we would see a different race than we did. There were some tire issues, of course, but it seems to me that we are still so aero dependent. I can't wait until we get to the low downforce package next year, because we are still so aero dependent, particularly on these 1.5-mile tracks, that it made for a situation where there once it kind of sorted out a little bit after the restarts, there wasn't a lot you could do with a guy in front of you until the very, very end.
I kind of liked it.
No, I figured you would. I figured you would.
I completely agree. Texas offers a wide racing surface. I believe next year you're going to see better racing.
I do too.
Obviously, yesterday there was a car that was dominant, whether it's dominant with low downforce, whether it's dominant for high drag, or dominant for 2015. That 2 car was a dominant car. There were cars, as the 4 car, ran through the field. 2 tires went down. 1 under green, it was able to make up speed and get back on the lead. Get back on the lead lap after a pit sequence. He was making a lot of passes.
One-handed. Don't forget that. Kevin
Hold-
Harvick was holding the gear shifter down so it wouldn't pop out of gear.
Yeah, driving with his left hand, holding the shifter in with his right hand, and then I believe lost some steering issues there at the end. But my point is that the track still offers up some passing.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, we're going to see a better race regardless.
Yeah, we should see a lot better racing on the 1.5 miles. And
Yes.
to that end, number 15 is a guy who wants to talk about downforce packages.
Man, this 19-year-old is excited for the low downforce package next year. It's not perfect. I still believe that we got to take more downforce out of these cars. It's a great start, but teams are going to get back quite a bit of downforce as the year goes on. So I'd like to see another 30 to 50% reduction in downforce in 2017, so we get back to that level. My only wish is that NASCAR would give these boys their horsepower back that they took away in 2015. High corner speed or high straightaway speeds, low corner speeds equal lots of passing.
Absolutely right. I've heard a lot of guys talk about that, and to his point, Tony Stewart was one of the guys who lamented the loss of the horsepower at the beginning of the season with the tweaks to this package that we have now.
One of the obstacles we have in NASCAR with making such large changes is Goodyear. They simply can't engineer, develop, and manufacture a tire quick enough when we make these big swinging changes. So we're doing
it takes a while to catch up.
Exactly right. So they've already talked about 2016 isn't the final rule.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know which direction we're going, but they're always willing to make changes, and that's what we can rely upon NASCAR. As much as we don't like changes, we like them when they're in the right direction, kind of like our restart line. That's a great direction. Some guys are going to argue chase good or bad, but they are going to make another change probably in 2017, and the caller's right. We have gained our horsepower back. We will get some of our downforce back in the middle of next year, and the dominant cars are going to go to the front.
Absolutely. There's already been some testing going on this year with Goodyear for the 2016 package, trying to match tires to a track and to this low downforce package. We'll see how that all plays out next year. Don't forget the Fan Forum hotline is 844-427-5676. If you have a question or comment anytime during the week about the races, any of the shows, something you'd like to have us ask a driver, it's available for you 24/7. One more quick break here on Motorsports Monday. We'll look ahead when we come back.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Celebrate the 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season in style with a trip to Vegas and a new set of wheels. Enter for your chance to win a brand new 2016 Ford F-150, plus a VIP trip to NASCAR After the Lap, sponsored by Ford and Sprint. Thursday, December 3rd, see all 16 challengers in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup live at the Palms in Las Vegas for the ultimate driver tell-all. Enter today at NASCARAfterthelap.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff Burton. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Yeah, it's definitely a good place for us to go, and obviously, it's been very successful. But that doesn't mean we're going to go there and run good this time. We got to go and try to have our ducks in a row. We've done a good job of managing the chase thus far with all the adversity that we have. We've really only had one smooth weekend, so we just got to keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully the smooth weekend is next week and the week after. So we'll see.
Defending Sprint Cup champ Kevin Harvick finished third on Sunday at Texas Motor Speedway. He's third in the standings, 3 out of the lead right now. One of the guys who you'd feel pretty good about heading to Phoenix, where he has been very good. But as he say, and as they say in the financials, past performance is no indication of continued success.
One driver in the last 6 races is not named Kevin Harvick has won that race, and that was Carl Edwards. So he's pretty good there. He grew up there, a Southwest Tour car. We expect Kevin Harvick to run good there. However, an opportunity exists for a couple of drivers to have to win and be able to compete for a championship, and one of those is Brad Keselowski, and this is his quick thought on what he thinks about Phoenix's opportunity.
It's not pressure, it's opportunity, and I'm happy to have those opportunities with a great team.
Brad Keselowski talking about that. He, Joey Logano, and Kurt Busch are guys who were pretty much in the must-win situation. Brad might be able to math his way in, but he'd have to count on 3 or 4 guys in front of him having some trouble, not something you want to depend on.
Because we saw it last year. It's not unseen. Kevin Harvick had to go to Phoenix and win the race, and then had to go to Homestead and win that race because the guy that was running second would have been the champion without winning a race, so he won.
Yeah.
So it's not unprecedented that Kevin Harvick has done it. I hope to God we can do it. We're going to try our guts out. We had a really good test.
As you take a look at the way the standings shape out right now, you've got Kyle Busch, who is 11 back. You've got Kevin Harvick 10 back, or 7 ahead of the guys who are outside looking in right now. There you see it on your screen if you're watching on the YouTube version of the show. Carl Edwards, a good Phoenix driver in pretty good shape there. Only one of those guys who is safe at this point is Jeff Gordon with the victory. We mentioned Joey Logano, another bad race. He's 63 out. He definitely has to have a win to move on. Here's what he told our Kyle Rickey after the race.
Like I said, God doesn't have everything playing out the way you want it. Sometimes you just got to roll with the punches, and we're ready for Phoenix. This team is strong. We didn't take any wind out of our sails today. To show how fast this thing was, even after we crashed, I'm very proud of my team. Same as this week, right? This was a must-win situation as well. So if we finish second today, we'd be in the same boat going into Phoenix. So I feel fine about what our chances are. Phoenix is a great racetrack for us in the past. I felt like this racetrack was great as well. It's unfortunate we couldn't show everything we had.
There you go, Joey Logano looking ahead. One other thing still hanging out there, Joe Gibbs Racing had some splitters confiscated over the weekend during inspection. What might we expect there?
Last precedence was set when Penske Racing had some splitters taken at Michigan. No penalties, no fines, no nothing. The difference being is the potential modification of the splitter with an outside median, possible Bondo or resin being utilized to manipulate the shape or the specification of the splitter. Again, we pushed this into NASCAR's court and said, make a decision.
Here they go.
Sometimes that decision isn't good for anybody.
Absolutely. Stick with us here on Motor Racing Network Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, coverage of practice, Sprint Cup practice from Phoenix. 6:30 Eastern, we've got live coverage of qualifying from Phoenix on MRN.com. 8 o'clock, the Camping World Truck Series race. The rest of the schedule's at MRN.com. Check it out there. We'll see you next Monday.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday. Tune in again next Monday at noon for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center or download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.